We're back with more Road Gang Radio, which is riding shotgun with Jimmy Mack in New Orleans, and then we have Lindsay Lawler in Nashville.
Yeah!
Take it away!
Perseverance.
Yes.
Place.
Check.
And personal honesty.
Cross check.
Tight harmonies.
Check.
And heartfelt songwriting, by the way.
Check, check.
I am talking about, of course, The Last Revel.
Oh, my God.
Years of heavy touring and a 2019 hiatus. The group reconvened with a refreshed perspective and a stronger bond. This comeback, by the way, has resulted in 2 albums since reuniting. 2021's Dovetail. In 2021, Dovetail, and their upcoming release, Gone for Good, which is due out on the 18th.
Go on.
2025 on 30 Tigers. By the way, it's produced by Trampled by Turtles. It's the band's 6th album, is described as an ode to the lifetime of an artist, capturing their renewed commitment to their craft and each other. Gone for Good. With that album, they are poised for their best year yet. I actually agree with that, by the way, based on simply the strength of Go On and Solid Gone. Holy moly, holy Toledo, holy get yourself on board with The Last Revel, by the way, guys. As they say themselves, embracing a deeper clarity in their identity and purpose, absolutely, and focusing on, and by the way, I got to tell you, I'm actually getting a little bit upset that people use the word authenticity, I think, in the wrong way. This is used in the absolutely right way because they are authentic. There ain't nothing else like this, guys, by the way. When they say perseverance, place, and emotional honesty, that's not just about their character. That is about what these songs are about. There is a stick-to-itness grit that goes on here that is deeply moving while at the same time driving. It's really hard to have an up-tempo song that is deeply moving. I'm not kidding. Go through them, think about them, and this music sings in a way that you guys have not heard before, all of our friends out there listening. It feels like the back roads. You can hear the grit rolling up into the tires while the engine is souped up, and at the same time, you can feel the world passing you by. It is my pleasure to welcome Ryan Acker and Lee Henke, banjo player and guitar player, respectively, of The Last Revel. Good morning to you both.
Good morning.
Hi, guys. Well, we've been drooling over you all morning on air like total creepers because we are huge fans and so excited to have you on. And where I want to start, because I totally giggled, guys, one thing on your Instagram, I love your tagline where it says, "How are you not more famous since 2011?" I love that. I get that. I feel that. I'm a songwriter and artist in Nashville. And, you know, anytime when I used to play downtown and people would be like, you know, that you guys know what I'm about to say when people are like, "Oh, I can't wait to say I knew you when." I'm like, how about now? Just say you know me now. Like, I'm doing fine, guys. I'm fine. I'm making music. Everything's fine, right? So I hate that when people are like, why do more people not know you? And I'm like, you guys are missing what's important here. Do you know me? Do you like my music? We're good. So I just want to start out talking there because whoever one of you wants to take this first, was there ever a moment when you were like, we got to start or stop caring about anyone thinks and just lean into the music we're making and just go with it? Because I believe once you don't give a shit, that's when everything starts happening for you. And in a respectful way, of course, when you don't give a shit about what doesn't matter and you only care about the music and what drives you and pushes you forward, and then you cannot take those comments personally and be like, yeah, cool, you know, whatever. Does any of that make sense to you?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Ryan, you take this one. This is like your thing.
Sure. Yeah, I think we when we got the band back together in 2021, I think we kind of came back to it with like kind of this like renewed sense of like, well, we're just doing this. Ultimately, we're doing it for ourselves in a way of like, well, let's just start playing music together again. And, you know, we already had all this history together, and it was just kind of like, well, let's just get it back together for ourselves. And
yeah.
That's been kind of like a common theme since 2021 of just being like happy with who we are. And it's really clicking. So it's been fun.
Awesome.
I would also like to add to that. I think we have a little bit of it kind of adds gasoline to the whole fire when we do have haters. You know, when there is like someone who says like, "Oh, I don't like that," or, you know, who wants to and we're like, well, we're not bluegrass. It ignites this flame of like, we get to do whatever the hell we want, and we don't really care, which is, it's motivating in a way.
Well, on that, just a real quick follow up, Jim. But on that, then, because we talk a lot on this show about throwing genre out the window, and people say to you, I'm trying to shift, and people are like, what music, what genre are you? And I'm like, well, today I don't know, I made this track. You tell me what you think. I don't know. And I think when you throw that in the window is real power, but also that idea, what you just said. Dude, when I finally realized I'm not for everyone, which was like literally this morning, because my whole life I'm like, I want everyone to like me, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm doing it wrong.
I don't like you, by the way.
I
don't know.
why. I finally realized nobody likes me, and I'm cool with it.
That's it.
But yeah, really, that thing that you just said, when it's like, if everybody likes your music, you're doing it wrong. And is that a power move for you? It's like, because it's like, the more specific you get in what you're saying and what you're vibing on, you would think it kind of has the opposite effect. You think that the more specific you get, you're dimming your audience, but it kind of has the reverse effect, right?
Yeah. Go ahead, Lee.
Oh, I was gonna say, Ryan always says we've always been too indie for bluegrass and too bluegrass to be indie, And in the early days, I know we were trying to figure out a way to fit into a box or like, at least we're self-conscious about not fitting into a box. And now I feel like it's motivating to not be in the box, is to be our own thing and not fight it so much. Don't try and force it. Just do what it is.
Yeah.
I'm going to make you both laugh. So the thing is, I've been a fan for a while. And I was listening last night, and because we're setting up a studio here in New Orleans, I've been staying with my mother and father on and off. I normally call California my home, but I've been in New Orleans the last 3 months or so for an extended period. I was listening to you guys, and my dad walked into the room, and he'd never heard you before, and he says, man, those guys sound like they're actually both packing pistols but aren't happy about it. And I thought it was one of the best descriptions I ever heard in my life for what your music was.
You can use that on your next T-shirt, by the way.
My dad said, and I said, oh my God, Dad, I said, I think in one sentence you actually captured what I'm trying to kind of sum up here when I talk to these guys tomorrow on the phone. You talked about that, I call it that renewed purpose. I call it drop, a dramatic renewal of purpose. And the energy is there in the songs. I mean, we can hear it, Go On and Solid Gone, which are the first two singles you guys released from an album that is literally, the clock is ticking on the 24-hour window now for that album to drop. And I was kind of curious, when you cut the album, did the set... It's an obvious question, but I hope you get what I mean. Were you guys feeling that same purpose in the playing of it that we're hearing in the recording of it? Did you have that sense of, wait a minute, we got something going on here? As good as we've been, this is something different. Something is really cooking here. And I think you guys have always been great, but there's something really profound that has happened here since you guys have gotten back together. Do you feel that when you play?
Yeah, absolutely. In the studio specifically, like when we were getting ready for this record, we knew the stakes were higher because we booked time with producer and musician Dave Simonette from Trampled by Turtles. And we've been just like lifelong fans of that band and this guy and his songwriting. And knowing that we were going to be in the studio with him kind of like upped the ante right off the bat. And like we approached this record with like, okay, we're really going out on a limb on this one, and we're really like kind of putting it all on the line in the sense, like personally and professionally, like we're putting a lot of pressure on ourselves to like really deliver on this one. So, I think just right away having Dave involved, like nobody wanted to show up with a bad song to the studio with Dave Simonette in the studio. So I think like right away that kind of like set the bar pretty high for us. And we worked in a really great studio in Minnesota called Pachyderm Studios, and just the setting with everything just kind of felt perfect. And yeah, when we were cutting the songs, there really was like this profound sense of like, okay, we're really clicking here. It's really happening. And I can't believe it's like the week the record's coming out. It's just very surreal because we finished the record about 1.5 years ago. So we've been sitting on it for a while, just kind of like just preparing for this week specifically. So now kind of looking back, it's like, I don't think there's anything more we could have done for the record and the songs than what we did as far as like effort put in. So it feels good to be here.
Wow, that a year and a half that you've been sitting on it. Are you about to lose your mind? I'm sure tomorrow I want to know what you're going to do to celebrate to finally get there. But equal parts the waiting process, because I feel like we talk about a lot. We can, especially in this day and age with all the streaming and social media, like as an artist, you can get overwhelmed with all the other things that have nothing to do with the music and the creation. And it can be really debilitating, I feel like. So it's like that moment that we're just really supposed to create, put it out, move on, create, put it out, move on. But we can get caught up in it. So what is it like for you guys? Tomorrow this record comes out, and if everybody listening doesn't download it, you're doing yourself a great
download
service.
it. Download it.
Yes,
Don't
download
listen.
it.
Download it. Go and
Yeah,
listen. And
exactly.
then listen.
And but I'm curious. Do you guys get? I mean, I know you've got a killer team behind you, but once it's out, do you ever suffer that sort of depression piece of like, well, what now? Especially after you've been waiting a year and a half to put this out, or are you guys already on to the next? You guys know the next piece. I know you're out on tour. So how do you kind of play both sides of that? I guess I'll say.
Ooh,
Yeah.
I always
ahead,
get the release saddies.
Yeah.
It's like, it's no longer your little baby. It's like, it's got to go grow up on its own. But at the same time, we've never worked with a label before. And 30 Tigers has always been our like dream boat. Like that's the one we want to work with. That's where all our heroes are. So it doesn't feel like release is the end. It feels like it's the beginning this time.
Love that.
So that's
Good.
helpful too.
I'm gonna
Yeah.
go ahead. Go
Oh,
ahead.
go ahead.
No, you go ahead, please. You're our guest. Go.
Oh, I was gonna say, yeah. I think there'll be a little bit of like an empty void feeling after this is done. But it's kind of exciting because we have this like huge tour coming up, and we've been so excited about playing these songs live for our fans and stuff. And I think that's gonna kind of help, kind of like ease the transition into like having the album out. It'll be a good kind of bridge between the two.
Let me ask you about touring, by the way, and about your interaction with the fans, because we were talking about this yesterday. We talk about this a lot, the idea that the audience is what happens, in the sense that, the songs are the same, even though you might change the way you play them based, on where you're at and all that. But at the end of the day, it's about the relationship you have with your fans. And, one of the things that I've always told Lindsay, too, when she says, I can't wait to say I knew you when, is the fact that there are people who have been with you since the beginning and actually take pride in that. Do you feel any obligation to the fans that you had early, and how do you kind of honor those people who were, and I don't mean like friends and family, I mean the first fans as they begin to show up. Do you feel any obligation to them or any explanation that you owe them, or is it just part of a growing sense of momentum as more people kind of jump on the train?
Gosh, that's a good question.
Yeah.
Screw them. Just say no. Screw them all.
They give me like a sense of comfort. Like we just played our first in store, record store performance, because we've never had a label before, so we've never had to do that. And one of our OG fans was there. And I remember meeting him at one of the first festivals we played in Montana, and there's something comforting about seeing those people, and they're still there with you, and they still love what you're doing. It's almost like an extension of family that you would choose to want to hang out with. So it is comforting to know that they're still there, and I really don't feel like we're in a genre that changes enough to where we're gonna offend any original fans either. I feel like it's pretty inclusive. It's pretty, I don't know. The palette didn't change that much. I just feel like we're getting better at doing what we do best. So
yeah,
I find the original fans, incredibly encouraging and supportive and very, very grateful. And I hope new generations and tons of more people like it, and I hope no one's deterred by that. I hope they're all on the same train.
We are talking with the Last Revel, Ryan and Lee from the band, banjo and guitar player. You can go to thelastrevel.com. They are out on tour. They'll be playing tomorrow in Wyoming. They have dates in Montana, Virginia. The list goes on. They will be here in Nashville November 8th, Baby at the Basement East, my favorite venue in Nashville. I will be there. I will be the creepy one with the glitter sign. That's
I'll be the tall guy behind her.
Yep. That's how you'll know. Okay, so Go On has such a cool story about the writing behind it, and I'm not going to do the talk about specifically how do you write or where are you inspired. I won't ask you that, but what I do want to talk about, because there's this undeniable pulse in your music, and it's like something that's it's grounded in something ancient yet playing today. It feels like it's like you can feel this beat behind it. And so I don't know if that rhythm, if it comes from a place or a pain or a people, but you can hear it as well. And so the new single Go On, that has a very wild and raw energy, which makes a lot of sense because I read that it came from a solo hunting trip in Montana from one of you, and the one antlered buck. That may or may not be right, but how does the idea of of that, this hunting trip, a solo hunting trip, which was, I'm not sure which one of you guys you could answer that, but that turned into a song about love and pride, which it's rooted in so many different things. So how do you, I'll ask Lee first, how do you convey that pulse in your music that is so angsty, but yet it doesn't make me exhausted at the end? It makes me inspired at the end. And how does it all tie back to how the song came to be from the hunting trip?
Man, that's a really good question. This is Ryan's hunting trip.
Okay.
When Ryan brought it to me, he had the first two verses. And then we sat in the living room and just drank coffee and tried to figure out a chorus that fit. And then
drank a lot of coffee, I bet.
Oh my God! Well, that's why that's the pulse. I think. I think the pulse is the coffee, and the hunting trip, and having I don't want to speak for Ryan, but like having that much time to yourself in a pretty intense environment brings up all kinds of different emotions. But I'll let Ryan tell the rest of it.
Yeah. It was a couple of years ago now. I think it's 2023. I live in Livingston, Montana, and I was doing a hunting trip. It was the day before Thanksgiving, and I was by myself. And it was the end of the day. And this one antlered buck came out of the woods. I had no luck all day. This one antlered buck came out of the woods, and he was chasing other deer around, and he was just like, he was obviously like an animal possessed. And I ended up harvesting that buck that evening and packing him out of the woods by myself. Some of these lines from the song kind of came to me, and it was just such an intense moment. It was an intense day, and I think that being out there by myself in that kind of setting kind of really it makes you just more in touch with my subconscious. And it was I just felt kind of just more just elemental. I guess I don't know how to describe it, but anyways, I just kind of it was able to just kind of come to me, and I kind of jotted some of these notes down. And that was kind of the beginning of the song. Yeah. Bringing it to Lee was helpful in the sense of kind of making it more personal and approachable. I didn't want it to be so obvious about a deer, Yeah. I wanted it to be more.
I didn't know it was about
human
hunting.
element.
Yeah. Ryan didn't tell me he was writing it about a deer. So when he brought me those first two verses, I was like, wow, this is incredibly romantic and tragic. So when I wrote the third verse to fill in, I had no idea he was writing about a buck. So I think that's part of it. And I think the idea of, going back to the pulse question, it's, I feel like there was a lot of adrenaline. There's a theme of adrenaline in that song. Dude, packing out a deer by yourself in grizzly country in the dark, you better have a little pulse, a little adrenaline going on, or you're not human. So
Well, and you just said something too that I think is, some of the biggest bands talk about how they don't like to do interviews too much because if the more information you give, it takes away from the listener experience. So I love, Lee, that you were like, I didn't know this was a Buck. He didn't tell me. I was just listening to the words, where it's so intriguing to me when Ryan, like, he knows what it's about. And that's the real listener experience. It's almost like if you give too much information, it takes away from the listener can pull from it. So I'm so curious to see what your avid fans are going to start taking away from it themselves. Because I can guarantee you that song hit for me, but in a billion years, I won't do what Ryan just did because I am a wussy. So, like, completely different experience.
By the way, do you know what song my dad was listening to when he said those fellas are packing pistols, but they ain't happy about it? It was this song. It was this song. I mean, which is crazy. Which is crazy. What is it? The veteran actually listens and he goes, "Oh, I know exactly what that's about. I know exactly what that's about," and that's kind of stunning too, because I've often wondered when people are doing their songs in concert, in the studio. There's a point where you have to kind of not think about it and do it. But I've always kind of wondered that. I've asked this to Lindsay too. We talked about the idea of the urgency that you needed to feel to kind of do this. But are you aware of meaning when you're recording or singing a song like this while you're doing that? And does that help inform what you bring emotionally to it? Or do you kind of enter what Victor Turner called the flow state, where it's kind of like, here we go, and whatever I get to on the other side is where I went? Am I making any sense, Ryan? Any sense whatsoever?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, just the general subject matter of that song and just the intensity of the chorus and stuff like that, and that banjo fiddle lick that goes along with it, just like all the elements to it just kind of had this, like, it's a perfect term for it, just like this purposeful, like, sorrowful aggression to it, where it's like we're really just trying to get something out. And I regardless of in the studio who knew what that song was about or like where the origins were about, I feel like everybody connected on it in a personal level to kind of like get that take in the studio. And what you hear on the album is 100% us just playing in the studio together. There's no overdubs on that song at all. So it's like we were only physically able to take about like 3 or 4 takes on that song because of the intensity of it, where like after that last take, it's like, I don't physically think I can do this again. And, and Dave, the producer, kind of connected with that right away. And, one of our bandmates was, in the studio saying like, oh, there's a couple little mistakes here and there. And Dave's like, you just can't overthink a punk song. And you just got to let it be what it is. And it was more important at that time to like get that emotion across versus get the right notes on tape. I think that's kind of the perfect example for that song.
Well, and there's so here's what I want our listeners to understand, people who perhaps don't make music. Although you can guess, guys, that the majority of our listenership are over the road truck drivers who have song ideas for days. The stuff they see on the road is intense. So I should probably submit to you some of the things they submit to me, because it's all really great song content. But what's so interesting is in a band, I always secretly wish that if I could go back in time, I would have tried it as a band instead of a solo artist, because there's such a cool synergy, and it's what I get from songwriting, where it's like you get to the co-creation. I get to feel it in that regard. But what you guys get in a band, and then in addition you throw Dave and your producer, and then you throw the rest of the instrumentation that goes on the record, and it's such a, you get everybody's influences dialing in, which takes it to a whole new level. So my question this is for both of you, and I'll ask Ryan first. If you guys were to step away and each do a solo project outside of this band, what would your solo record be? Like if it could be an artist that we know kind of vibe, where would each of you take it on a solo thing, just to do like a crazy, because you have to do the dance when you're in a band, but when you're like, no one else can tell me what to do, I'm making hardcore death metal. Like, what would you be, Ryan?
And you both got 45 seconds.
Okay. That's a funny question, because we actually all have made solo records over the years. And I think mine personally, gosh, I'll probably steal it from Lee, but I think like mine would be like Nathaniel Rateliff, kind of like some of his earlier stuff is just kind of like sad indie singer-songwriter strumming guitar.
Love it.
Yeah. I think we would probably steal that one too. But
I'd take that one. I'd take Phosphorescent. It like his album Pride is like it's just weird sounds, and then all of a sudden he's like singing these beautiful melodies over the top. I think what I want to say about being in a band is you never know. Specifically, Vinny. Vinny is our wild card. You never know what Vinny's gonna do to one of our songs. So, like, Ryan and I can write all the chords we want. We can hum all the melodies we want. But when Vinny comes in, all of a sudden the song kind of takes a different turn. And I feel like that is the magic of being in a band. Is like all of these people have their own opinions that they want to throw at it, and they all have to work together. Where on a solo project, I feel like it's harder to discern what's necessary or what's good, because it's all you. Like, oh yeah, I can do all of this stuff and I can trust myself. But until there's like a wild card or someone else's opinion, it just takes a completely different shape.
Fair enough. It's the best shape ever. So, guys, everybody's commenting over on our YouTube channel and Facebook and all of our platforms that they're all going on and listening now. And everybody's feeling it. Go to thelastrevel.com, REVEL. Check them out on tour. The record is out later this week. Please download it. It will change your life. And I'll tell you what, it's going to get you to your next stop, truck drivers, a lot quicker because of that damn pulse.
Oh, my
Get
God.
it.
Oh, my God.
All right.
Guys, I've been a fan for a long time. It's glad to see you not only back in the game, but Pistols packing. Might not be happy about it, but I'm thrilled. Thank you so much, both of you guys.
Yeah, thank you both.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Hey, guys, we'll say this again one more time with feeling from the top to let everybody out there know you need to head over to thelastrevel.com. That's REVEL, thelastrevel.com. You can find them on the Instagram at The Last Revel. And by the way, their music is everywhere that music is to be found. Trust me, our good friend Steve checked it out. He loved it. Lindsay, that was fun.
Good.
I've actually got a notification when the album drops. I'm sitting down and listening to it from pillar to post.